think of myself that way in general.
Very good. Yeah, well, Jared. Alrighty, and Jaja's back too. So Jaja, the floor is yours. If you want to, here I'll share our screen. I can share my screen and get our agenda up for everyone, so we can all see. Then I will pass it to you.
Sounds good.
Do this first. No one needs to see that I have a billion, literally 1 billion tabs open right now. No one needs to see that. We want this one, this one. All right, are folks seeing this agenda?
Yes.
Marvelous. Okay.
Okay. Well, once again, welcome to our last meeting in February, or our only meeting in February, I should say. Our February 26th meeting, which is all 2 days from the end of February for the Coordinated Entry Committee. I want to thank you and welcome you and appreciate you for showing up for this much needed work. Catherine, can you give us a roll call, please?
I would be happy to. Devin,
Present.
and Noah and Eddie are both absent. Martha? Present. Portia? Dr. Sam? Elliot?
Present.
Kelsey?
Present.
Jaja?
Present.
Looks like Sherry has arrived. Finn?
Present.
And Mustafa.
Present.
We have 7 members present and 5 members absent. You have no quorum.
Did you call Kelsey?
I did.
Okay, I just didn't hear it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Catherine. So now we're gonna do the theory of change. And if we created a homeless response system that centers the voice of people with lived experience of homelessness, then we can focus on responding to needs and eliminating inequities to end homelessness. Let that sit and resonate with us for a moment. And we're going to move on to our public comment. Is there any public comment?
There is nobody here with us in person today for
And
public comment.
Catherine, did you get any letters or notes?
No, we did not.
We did not get any letters or notes this month.
All
The
right.
only person attending this meeting right now is our colleague Daniel Ramos III. And I don't see any hands up in the attendees section, so I think
We can.
we can call it.
All right. Well, going once, going twice, going 3 times. No one here for public comment, and we're moving on to our next agenda item. I need a vote for approval of our prior meeting minutes. So someone want to make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from January?
I
And then
move to accept our meeting minutes from January 2026.
thank you, Kelsey. Is there a second?
I'll second. That's Devin.
Thank you, Devin. Appreciate it. I'm going to call for a vote. All
We
those,
can do a voice vote for the
Yeah,
meeting minutes. Mhm.
yeah, I was going to do a voice vote. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Do we have any who oppose? Say nay. Any abstentions? I believe that passes 100%. Thank you. And I'm going to turn it over to Tom.
All right. Thanks, Jaja. Hi, everyone. Happy February. Like we were saying before, I just cannot believe that it's already almost March. We are rolling, cruising right along through the year. I just had I just wanted to give you all a few updates for this month. From the CE manager. Gotta rearrange my screen here because I got too many things. Okay, cool. Yeah, so just a couple of updates for this month of February and kind of like as we're moving through quarter 1. We have some exciting news from our colleagues and partners with the research and data team here at KCRHA. They hired a new staff person at the end of last year to bring on some additional capacity for their like data analysis and oh yeah.
Really quickly, are we supposed to be seeing slides that you have? Because it's
Nope.
just the agenda. Okay.
Nope, yeah, no slides. These are
Wanted
just
to make
verbal
sure.
updates. But I can't see like the screen of people, so but I'm assuming silence means that we're good now. We're good?
Yep, we're good.
Okay.
I got hands for you, Tom.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so the research and data team hired another person to bring on some additional capacity. And so I've been in conversations with them about leveraging some of that capacity to meet in this committee's needs for bringing you all like quarterly and regular data updates. So there's some irons in the fire there, and that's an exciting update for this group heading into 2026. So really grateful to them. Yeah, and excited to see what we can collaborate on to bring to you all this year. The next update that I have is about our assessment pilot work group. So we obviously don't have a presentation, like a big presentation or kind of any formal update to bring to you this month. We continue to meet, and we've started to kind of like center our conversation on not only what are our goals for like the assessment itself, but also like what are the goals for our coordinated entry system, and having that type of conversation lead what then we want our assessment to look like. So it's been really wonderful bringing in Shantae and Kanisha from ABT Global, our technical assistant providers, to kind of help steward and give me some support in leading that conversation with you all in the community. So definitely more work to come there, and excited to share those updates with you next month and in the future. Another update that I have is our progress onboarding new agencies into the HMIS. We onboarded Hero House Northwest this quarter, and we have been working to follow up on the backlog of applications that we had when we had no policy to be able to like bring non-funded, non-contracted agencies into the system. And so now we're working through that backlog. I've been in dialogue with several other agencies, some exciting updates there, people who are interested. And if you all remember, kind of the big hinging point with that was, you know, a huge gap in our system right now was housing navigation. Folks who are able to not only do assessments for people who need housing through coordinated entry, but also do that requisite work that's necessary to get people packet ready, talk with them about what units are available, and shepherd their referrals from nomination, like nominating them in case conferencing to actually helping them move into a project. So having conversations with different providers about their capacity to be able to do that work with us, so that we're not just assessing folks and bringing more folks into the system who don't have any case management support to actually help them get housed. Like our goal with this was that we wanted to say, okay, assess people, but also let's actually get them focus on getting them housed. So those conversations have been exciting, and we look forward to bringing on that additional capacity this year. Lease ups. It's been lease up bonanza from the end of like the back half of last year through the first quarter of this year, which is really exciting. Lots of projects that were opening up and getting folks off the streets and into units of permanent supportive housing, which is always a really incredible thing that we should all be really grateful for and proud of for our community. So we had two big lease ups with DESC, Stevens Place and Clover Place. Stevens wrapped up at the end of last year, very beginning of this year, and then Clover Place is ongoing and kind of getting closer to the finish line. Another big project that was leasing up was the the Sweetgrass Flats with Chief Seattle Club. That project has had some different kind of kinks to work out in terms of the Apple Health and Homes funding, coordinating with FCS providers, and ensuring that all the folks that are kind of like working through this additional like AHA FCS system are going to be eligible for Chief Seattle Club itself. And so, you know, our team's been working really diligently with our FCS partners, with Chief Seattle Club, with our partners here in King County to make sure that we are, you know, kind of staying focused and on point and really making sure that we're connecting our homeless native neighbors to that resource and getting everything squared away. So exciting updates there. But yeah, that's all that I have. So we're a little bit ahead of schedule. So if anyone has any quick questions about any of those updates, I'm happy to take a couple. All right, hearing none, I think we're good to move forward. Okay, well, I think you all have noticed there's a couple more people in the room today than are normally here with us. I'm really oh, my camera turned off at some point during that. I was getting notifications, but I was talking away, so I don't know what happened to our owl.
It did make a weird sound. It chirped.
All right, let me do something here. Sorry, everyone. Bear with us for a sec while I try. Or while we try and figure out what's going on. Oh, Elliot, I'm just seeing the chat. Yes, you're right. We cannot forget the lease up of the Pacific. That was another huge initiative that we undertook together. And you can't see me, but I'm clapping. And that one was huge too, everyone, because not only did we get all those units filled with people who were, you know, literally homeless or chronically homeless upon entry, but that one was like also a huge accomplishment because if you all remember, we talked about how the Catholic Community Services Bridge Shelter was closing at the end of last year, and we were able to house almost all of the folks from the closing bridge shelter in the Pacific. So just again, huge hats off to all the CCS case management team, Eddie's whole team over there with getting all those folks ready. That was a huge undertaking that they did to get people's documents all taken care of. That's a ton of work. I know I'm preaching to the choir with a lot of you. And then Elliot, you know, huge thanks to you and your team for being accommodating and working with us to make sure that there was almost 80 people, 73 or so people. So not almost 80, but 73 people who, you know, were homeless, living in an emergency shelter, who would have potentially had nowhere to go once the bridge closed, and that all of them got housed, nearly every single person at the Pacific Apartments. So huge accomplishment for our community there. So yeah, Elliot, thanks. Okay, the owl's back on now. I don't know what happened, but we're good.
Yeah, maybe it just needed a reboot.
I think don't owls not sleep though? Maybe the owl just needed to sleep. I don't know.
Took a little review.
All right. The next thing that we have, well, actually, hold on. Sorry, presentation mode. Okay, so as I was saying, you all noticed that we have more people here with us today than we normally do. That's because our wonderful team, our whole team, excuse me, one of our team members, Autumn, is actually out sick this week, so unfortunately she's not able to join us. But we're about to present to you on a project that we were working on the last few months, and thought that it was really important that we all be here together to talk with you about it as a group, because it really was a team effort. And so, shout out to Autumn. Maybe she'll watch this recording later. Just want to let you know that we're thinking of you, and thanks for all of her amazing contributions to this work. But the rest of our team is here today, and we are going to talk with you about
Get well soon, Autumn, in case you're watching this.
thanks, Jaja. Can everyone see this title slide that I got here? Awesome.
Yes.
Yes.
So what we wanted to talk with you all about today is what we have been calling our unit posting, office hours, and case conferencing operations shift. As you all know, or if you don't already know this kind of like in nitty-gritty detail, we post the available units in the coordinated entry system each day through a Microsoft Teams format to coordinated entry assessors or people that do housing navigation that have CE assessors on their team. And right now, and since 2023, that's something that we've done every single day. I won't get too much into it because I'm starting to steal thunder now, but I just kind of wanted to ground us a little bit in kind of like that's what we're talking about. So when we talk about unit posting, office hours, and case conferencing in our operations, these are really like truly the daily operations of the coordinated entry system. And we have different like office hours meetings. We do kind of case conferencing right now, really on like an as needed basis. And so, we've been working with the community very, very deeply with the provider community on some ideas around getting feedback and how to shift and change this system to meet more of the community's needs. And so we wanted to present to you all today kind of the progress of where we're at with that, and have you weigh in and help us make a decision. Our ask today, the agenda item for this is a vote. What we're going to ask you after we present this to you and have some time for some questions and answers is we're going to ask you to vote to endorse an option. And so what that will mean is, to be transparent, this group today isn't going to be deciding what the coordinated entry system does, but we really value and you all as our kind of like policy advisory committee, we want to know that whatever we choose to do is in, lockstep with what you all also think as kind of subject matter experts and policy, advisory committee for us with this work, what we want to do with the community. So without further ado, we'll go to the next slide, and I'm actually going to pass it to my colleague Surya Aguilar to kind of talk about some key terms. Some language with this is very important, and so we want to make sure that we're all kind of using the same words and understanding what those words mean. So
yeah, thank you, Tom. Good morning, everyone. My name is Surya. I'm a program specialist in the team, and I focus on the family units and also at the moment the Alaska Indian American Native units. So it's nice to meet you. And as Tom said, here are some key terms that we'll see throughout the presentation. So we want to make sure that you have the context of what they mean. Beginning with the nomination window. In this context, it means the amount of time providers have to submit nominations for clients to available housing units in our smart sheet system. Tie breaking is the process that the coordinated entry team uses to determine which households should be prioritized for housing units according to our prioritization policy. Referral is the actual housing referral a household receives once they've been prioritized through the tie-breaking process, which includes the making the referral through HMIS, as well as the connection email, including the case manager that made the nomination and the housing provider to then hopefully begin their intake process. Office hours is time for housing navigators to seek information about the coordinated entry team, and housing providers about the coordinated entry system in general. And if there's questions about the units that were posted, or, you know, some pending referrals, etc. And then lastly, we have case conferencing, which is included in the office hours, but also we may make separate meetings. It's a time for housing providers to housing navigators, providers, and the coordinated entry team to discuss specific client cases, as well as pending referrals, clients in crises, and also maybe coordinate support amongst the people assisting clients.
So we'll take a little bit of time to talk about really the whole purpose of this. Nomination quality has been a challenge across our provider community. And as a team, we developed a three-prong approach to really address this challenge. First, we developed some trainings to help our community partners. Then we put a policy in place meant to make sure that nomination is consistent. And finally, we're looking at our nomination cadences. And again, for clarity, the cadence pertains to the rhythm of our operations, which includes all of the items that are listed under the second bullet point on this slide. And so that would be just our regular flow. You can go to the next slide. Prior to 2023, units were only posted once a week. And in 2023, the use of the priority pool, which was really closely tied to the pandemic, ended, and we transitioned to a new model, which included posting 5 days a week to make sure that, you know, nominations were steady and referrals were flowing. I mean, it was a huge change, and that change didn't necessarily include widespread provider input. And because of our constant contact with community partners, got really clear that this process wasn't very popular. And in addition to that, you know, there's this like little narrative in the background that coordinated entry doesn't send the good referrals, and that's something that we really wanted to address. Yeah, sorry, one more.
You need me to go back, Nicole?
No, I'm okay, thank you.
Okay.
My computer got stuck. So, you know, we think of coordinated entry, it is a system, and, you know, and it's important that we're responding to the community that it supports. So over the last year, we've established some population-based leadership teams, and where we receive feedback, problem solve together, and collaborate with the goal of continuous improvement to the system. The options that we're going to present or propose or present are a product of the feedback that we received and our collaboration with stakeholders. So we had a lot of providers really closely involved with the changes, options of change that you will see coming up next. But before we do that, let's talk a little bit more about how things look now.
Yeah, so this is what we currently have. We post units for families, single adults, and young adults at different times throughout the day, daily. Office hours are hosted for 30 minutes, sometime anywhere between 1 and 2 hours after the units are posted, so providers have a chance to look at them and then see, you know, if they have clients that would be a good match. And then we have the office hours, if they have questions about anything related to the units that we posted. And then the nomination window begins 1 to 2 hours after the units are posted as well. So that's the time when providers actually, you know, fill out the form and submit it, and then it populates our sheets for us to then look over those. Currently the nomination window is only 2 hours. And after that ends, we, you know, we look at those, send referrals for whatever we got, ideally the same day. And it's a daily process. So after, you know, feedback and brainstorming what would that look like in a different cadence? We have option number one. For this option, we would post available units for all subpopulations on Tuesdays and Thursdays in the morning, maybe sometime around 10 or 11. We would host unified office hours, and unified in this context means we would have all the populations in that meeting. So currently we have different office hours for different populations. For this unified suggestion, we would have everyone come into the same space. And instead of half an hour, it would be 1 hour. And that meeting would be held sometime 1 or 2 hours after we post the units. And then we would allow for a 24-hour nomination window that closes on Wednesdays and Fridays, Wednesday and Friday mornings. After that nomination window closes on Wednesday and Friday, we would then look at all of the nominations and tie break and send our referrals. For option number one, we would also host 1 hour long case conferencing meetings on Wednesdays by subpopulation and use a sign up sheet for people that, really want to talk about their client and want to make sure that they have that allotted space to talk about it. In the instance that, so we would have backup nominations in case a referral is denied on a day that the unit is not posted. But in the instance that it doesn't work out, there's absolutely no one that we've identified that would be a good match for that unit. We would just post that unit on the off days, Wednesday and Friday, which we don't foresee as needing that because we get so many nominations for all resources, but we just want to make sure that there's no unit, going unfilled for more than the week, yeah. So that's option number one.
Can I just ask, would you like us to write down our questions and then you take them at the end? Would that be
That'd be
easier
great,
for you?
Jaja. Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
that'd be great. Yep. Thank you.
Our team came up with a couple of other options as well. So option 2 that we developed, would have us posting units 3 times a week rather than twice a week. So you can see on Monday, we would post units, and then we would still have that unified office hour for folks to be able to come and ask sort of general coordinated entry questions or questions about the units that were posted that day, 1 to 2 hours after the posting. Tuesday, we would have, well, after posting, we would have a 24-hour nomination window into Tuesday morning. And that's when our CE team would be able to tie break, send out referrals, and then we would post the units that were available that day in the afternoon. And then again, host those unified office hours to give folks a chance to come ask us questions about those units and about nominations 1 to 2 hours after posting. In this option, we're still going to be holding those subpopulation case conferencings. And that's a space where folks can come talk on more of the client level with those of us that are specialized in those specific populations. And then our nomination window would close 24 hours after that Tuesday posting in the afternoon. And then again, our CE team would be able to tie break and send out those referrals so that Thursday morning, we're posting all of our units again that are available, and then holding unified office hours 1 to 2 hours after posting, having a 24-hour window. And then Fridays would be there's no postings. We're not doing any meetings. That's a day for our CE team to catch up on some of that tie breaking if we need to reconcile our units and inventory, and just make sure that we've got that admin time. And the main difference with this option versus option one is that we are posting units more often, right? So instead of twice a week, we're getting that 3 times a weekend so that we can make sure that units are not sitting too long. And you can move on, Tom.
If it will cooperate with me. Okay, there we go.
Option 3, we're still going to be posting units 3 times a week, and holding the unified office hours 1 to 2 hours after posting on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and having that same sort of admin time. The main difference with option 3 and option 2, as you can see, is Monday we would have only a 12-hour nomination window instead of a 24-hour nomination window. And that is to accommodate more consistency in posting, right? So option 2 had an afternoon posting on Tuesday. If we have a 12-hour nomination window instead of a 24-hour nomination window on Monday, we can still post units in the morning on Tuesday, rather than the afternoon, and then hold those unified office hours. Moving forward, then on Wednesday, we would continue to have the 24-hour nomination window that closes Wednesday morning, and then have that time for us to tie break and send referrals, and then still hosting that subpopulation case conferencing for people to come in and talk about their clients and housing plans. Thursdays, we would post units, and then once again, hold that unified office hour for general CE questions, 1 to 2 hours after posting. And Friday was still an admin day where we would be sending referrals, tie breaking, reconciling our inventory, and just making sure everything's ready for Monday.
Okay, so I'm going to spend some time talking a bit about the benefits, some of the concerns, and then stakeholder positions on each of these options. So to talk through the benefits of option 1, and as a reminder, that's posting twice a week with a 24-hour window. Benefits include more time for case managers to apply requisite amount of thought and preparation for making matches to housing. Providers have said that less frequent office hours and case conferencing, which would encourage attendance, which would increase collaboration from both housing and navigation providers in both our office hour and case conferencing spaces. The goal and hope is that this would promote shared learning and building community capacity. Option 1 gives us significant admin time for the coordinated entry team, right? That Monday is kind of left free for administrative time for us, which would increase capacity in following up with providers' experience, in any referral lags, or any denials of a client for inappropriate or unfair reasons, and it would ensure better quality. Additionally, there would be more capacity to work on system improvements from the entire team with that first option. Option 2, as a reminder, that's posting 3 times a week with a nomination window of 24 hours each time. It would post twice in the morning and once in the afternoon. So the benefits of this option, 3 times a week is more frequent than 2, and that's it would be a frequency of about every 1.5 days. There would be less concern of units sitting unposted than in option 1. There's more time for case managers to apply the thought and preparation to make housing matches. The 24-hour time window is a direct ask from the provider community. So we would be meeting that ask. Less frequent office hours and case conferencings would encourage attendance, which would encourage collaboration. And we would still have more administrative time and therefore more increased capacity to do follow-up with providers with any delays in referrals or denials. Option 3, again, that's posting 3 times a week, but each time in the morning and with a 1 12-hour window and 2 24-hour windows. It has the same benefits as option 1 and 2, but it has more consistent morning posting times, which might be easier for the community to digest. Next slide, please. So now to outline some of the concerns that we've identified and have been raised about each option. So option one, posting 2 days a week is a significantly large decrease from our current process, which is a daily churn. So that's a big change. It's only 2 days a week. And then another concern is that if a unit becomes available at the end of the week, it's not going to get posted until the following Tuesday. And so that could leave with units sitting open for like a slightly longer time period. For option two, 3 times a week is still less frequent than 5. Tuesdays would be a much busier day for the coordinated entry team because we would be right, that window from Monday would close, we would be tie breaking, and then we'd have to get those units ready to go out in the afternoon. So Tuesdays would be a busier day. The different posting times for mornings on Mondays and Thursdays and then afternoons on Tuesday could be confusing for providers. Option 3, the 1 12-hour and the 2 24-hour nomination windows could be confusing to providers. The providers have specifically asked for a 24-hour window, so that would be a concern with option 3. And similar to option 2, it would be Tuesday would become a very busy day for the CE team, processing nominations from Monday in the morning and then getting those units ready to go out on Tuesday morning. It would take a lot of work in that morning section. So those are the concerns kind of outlined for each of those options. And then if we go to the next slide, we'll talk through like the stakeholder position. So again, we didn't make this, we came up with these options based on community feedback, and then we got feedback from the community on which option they preferred. So from our providers, and this includes housing navigators as well as housing providers, from our leadership teams, their preference was for option 1 and option 2, kind of split evenly. Again, option 1 is posting twice a week. Option 2 is posting 3 times a week, mornings and then afternoon. The coordinated entry team, so us, we opted for option 2, kind of seemed like the best middle ground for out of all of the options. And then KCRHA leadership also endorsed option 2. So I'll pass it over to Tom.
Yeah, so we do have a recommendation for you today. Our recommendation would be to endorse option 2. And here are some reasons why. When I've been talking about it with the team here and with our, executive leadership at KCRHA, we kind of came to nickname it the day and a half cycle. So it really seems kind of like the most happiest middle ground between this kind of posting every single day and then like not letting that drop off to only posting like once or twice a week, 3 times a week. When we were early in the conversations about this shift with the provider communities, people were like, like Finn kind of looking at, I remember like some early salty conversations where we were talking about maybe 2 days a week, but then some of the housing providers were like, well, geez, 2 would be that would be a big drop, and would be concerned about that, like time that could lapse between the middle of the week or the end of the week on like a Thursday, and then like a unit not getting posted all the way to the next Tuesday. Something that I've been thinking about as I've been listening to the team's presentation with you all is, we all know everyone here in this space is an expert, whether it's your provider and direct services experience and expertise, or your lived expertise, or maybe a combination of both. We all know the kind of like, not only like science, but also art, and the really difficult, or not difficult, but just kind of like all the barriers and challenges that exist in our world, and the systems that are literally built to make it a hard job to help ensure that people who are experiencing homelessness are going to be able to submit an application, get that application, all the requisite documentation they need for that application to actually enroll in a project. We all know how difficult that is. And also at the same time, there's a natural, almost like built conflicting dynamic with, if you're a housing provider, you need your rental subsidy revenues in order to keep the lights on in your buildings, to be able to have these spaces to house this community, right? So there's like a built-in like conflicting dynamic where, you know, the name of the game in a way does need to be speed in order to make sure that the units are staying full and leased up, and that our performance reports show that these projects are full. You know, please, if anything, we're like overspending on the projects, give us more money. There's need, we're able to fill them. You know, like that's one kind of need of our system. And then there's also a need for our system, as you all know, having done this work, or experienced this in your life yourself, that there is no kind of rhyme or reason or particular one size fits all approach for how someone who is experiencing, and for permanent supportive housing, a lot of times we're talking about people who are chronically homeless. And especially given the way that our tie-breaking structure goes, we're talking about people who've been chronically homeless for a long time, 5, 10, 15 years. You know, it doesn't just happen with the snap of a fingers in 2 weeks that someone goes from being chronically homeless for 7 to 15 years or something to then all of a sudden they're ready to sign that lease and get in the door and have all their stuff ready, you know, within 1 week. So we really want to make sure that we're meeting the need of ensuring that our system is filling these units as rapidly as possible, but also managing and providing, facilitating. You know, our team really thinks of this as an act of service for the community, that we're facilitating a system where case managers and the assessors who are doing this, they're the heroes, they're the real, you know, people in the community who are out there doing the work, helping people get housed. And we want to make sure that they have enough time, and we're putting a system product, if you will, out there for them that's going to be trauma informed and be able to honor all the beautiful complexities that come with working with folks to ensure that something's not only just going to be like, hey, this is the unit that's available today, so let's get this in, get this fast, you got to go and rush to get in the door at this place, but be something that, you know, in 6 months, 2 years, that person who's getting matched to the unit is saying, this housing is meeting my needs, I feel safe here, I feel secure here, this program is actually something that's really promoting my thriving and stability and success. So we know that that isn't a fast-paced process, that comes with a lot of work. So we're trying to kind of thread the needle between this meeting the housing system and needs, and also meeting the needs of folks on the ground doing housing navigation work, and really wanting to support that being the most trauma informed. You know, going down to 2 days a week, for many of you here on the call who are housing providers, or you know, contract administrators, you know that housing providers incur real financial penalties if units aren't filled rapidly. With option 2, with the longer nomination window times, the units are posted really kind of like every day and a half throughout the week. We have more time to make sure that for our team that, you know, right now, the truth is, and we're not too proud to admit it, is that this is really almost like an unsustainable and all borderline like unmanageable kind of thing, where Surya, Karina, and Autumn, and Leah and Nicole are sending referrals, you know, sometimes hundreds a week, and between the 5 of them, thousands a week, and all of those are living in HMIS and in their inboxes. When we see something come through, it's you know, there's too much opportunity for human error to miss an email that actually this referral isn't going to work out. Make sure that that person, you know, knows that that referral isn't going to work out, you know, or working with housing providers, you know, and these are the kinds of things where there's no judgment with this, but the truth is that our human brains are not infallible. Like, mistakes happen, and sometimes we post a unit that actually isn't really available. That's a real person who's experiencing homelessness, who their case manager is telling them that day that they're finally going to get housing, and then their case manager gets an email from us or a housing provider saying, we're so sorry, but that unit actually isn't available. We can prevent real harm from happening if we just slow this down a little bit and have our team have the time we need to say, okay, what are the units that are really available? Let me attend to these pending referrals, make sure that people who are experiencing homelessness are having what they need to actually get connected and actually have this referral be successful for them moving in, and slow down for communication and not just kind of be running this thing just for the sake of speed. The truth is that when I talked to you all last year about how our system performs, this daily thing, yes, it's good in that the times that units stay open and the times that it takes for people to get connected to a unit have decreased since coordinated entry first went live and we did case conferencing once a week. That's good. But now we're thinking, hey, we have some lessons learned. We can slow this down a little bit, still ensure that we are meeting the needs of housing providers and funders by making sure that these units stay filled, but also making sure that we're not kind of creating unnecessary harm in the community by missing, times where, hey, we're all human and we make mistakes. Maybe a housing provider accidentally denied a referral, or they denied a referral for maybe a reason that, would like to have some further conversation about. Maybe there was a misunderstanding. If we have more time and we're going a little bit more slowly on this, then we really can center in and be a little bit more person-centered with this system rather than kind of just ruthlessly grinding forward to make sure that we're filling the units really quickly. And we think that option 2 is a great middle ground to kind of bridge the gap between those things of meeting the need of speed and efficiency, or really just efficiency, but also the effectiveness and person-centeredness and trauma-informed nature of not having this be like throwing spaghetti at the walls and seeing what sticks. Is really, that's the image that always comes to my head when I think of kind of how our team's been doing coordinated entry for the last couple of years. So yeah, so that's our recommendation, is option 2. Provider feedback has been favorable of option 1. What I will say though too is that, like, when we talk mostly for providers who do just kind of like housing navigation for getting their folks housed, they're kind of like, yeah, 2 times a week would work for us. Some of the housing providers, they'll say like, okay, we like option 1 a little bit more than 2 because 2 gets kind of confusing with the like morning post, Tuesday afternoon post, and then Thursday morning post again. But when I have had a chance to go back with some of the housing providers who've been a little bit like dubious about that one, they're saying, yeah, we really couldn't just go down to 2 days a week. 2 days a week would be not enough for us. And I promise you, we can kind of get into this a little bit more in the Q&A. Our team has racked our brains, providers have racked their brains for less kind of like, or more straightforward ways to do 3 times a week that don't involve either kind of like 1 12-hour window and 2 24-hour windows, or like 3 24-hour windows, but a morning, afternoon, morning again. Given the fact that the work week is 5 days, and we need time to tie break and make sure that we're doing our admin duties, there really kind of this is the like Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, morning, afternoon, morning is really kind of like the best we could come up with for now. So that's our ask to you or our recommendation is option 2. And with that, I will kind of cap it there. And we have some time for questions. So thanks, everybody.
I see.
Finn, you had your hand up first.
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, I really appreciate all the work that y'all have put into all of these options, and I'm really excited to see this change a little bit, because I do think, any change that we go with is going to be a net benefit to all of our folks making nominations so that they have more time to do this thoughtfully. That said, I was involved in the conversations for the single adult team, and like you said, Tom, there was a bit of a preference for option 1, simply for like the ease of consistency, both from like service providers and housing providers, with making sure that case managers could just, keep this easily in their minds. And I know we talked through like the benefits of option 2, posting, 3 times a week instead. But one of the recommendations that had come out of that group was, instead of if we went with option one, which was the preference of that group, is there a possibility that we could choose more than one client during the tiebreaker so that we have backups ready to go, so that we aren't having to like repost, and so the nervousness about the less postings isn't as much of an issue, but still gives the community the consistency that they're asking for.
Yeah, Finn, thanks. One thing that I would say, and I feel it's like a little bit regrettable, Finn, you mentioned like our last like salty meeting, we didn't have tons of time to kind of have a robust conversation as a full group. I did go back to speak with like other like our salty members who are housing providers to talk with them a little bit more like fully about the three options. And I think the concern, like, yes, and so what you were saying about making sure that there were like backup nominations is what Surya and Karina were talking about in the presentation. So like making sure that there's backup nominations is always going to be a part, no matter what kind of option, whether it's one, two, or three that we go with, would certainly be possible. The concern would be like not necessarily units that already got posted, but um like a unit that just becomes available for the first time on like a Thursday, but like after we've posted, that one's not gonna get posted until next Tuesday. And there are no backup options for it because it's one that has not yet been posted. It's, it's a unit that's just recently turned over or something. So that's something that like we at KCRHA talked a lot about and just is kind of like a big thing for us is that is the drop from 5 to 2 just feels still just like too much to go with. And I think and I apologize that it wasn't something that happened like in the salty meeting last time, but I was able to follow up with like Dwee and Eddie and some other folks like from that group, and they were like, yeah, they're a little bit kind of concerned about that too. So, and for those of you who don't know, Dwee is one of our partners from DESC, and Eddie, our fellow committee member from CCS. So some different housing providers who are just concerned about 2 days a week rather than three.
Tom, can you put the option slide up so
Yeah.
people can have that reference?
Elliot.
Yeah, thank you. This is a really great presentation and a great slide deck. I'm going to try to be succinct while also in the midst of an agency reorg and 2 software implementations. So my brain is pouring out my ears right now. But I think there's a couple things that I think of when I look at this. First of all, I think of how you opened our meeting today and how you talked about the trainings that you all are developing with outreach staff and the additions of assessors and stuff. And I think to me that's really the punchline is what resources do people have who are doing outreach to know what they're getting clients into and to help make sure clients know like this is what this building is, this is what this program is. I think I'm in a unique spot here on this panel because I work for one of the big landlords. I work for Plymouth Housing. What makes me different from Eddie or Noah is that Plymouth doesn't do outreach and we don't operate shelters. So we are only a landlord that is concerned about vacancy rates because that's what funders and investors care about. And having said that, I would say that if we do this right, I would rock, paper, scissor option 1 or 2. I could see either situation being a possible situation if we're also doing that legwork as landlords to make sure it's clear what our program is, where our buildings are, what are the services, what are the amenities, where do people grocery shop, having all that information so people can make informed decisions. And then outreach staff are informed and able to make sure people are document ready, able to attend appointments, able to get to them within that 24-hour window to say, hey, check this out. Here's this option at Plymouth that just popped up. Are you interested in this? It's in Belltown and yada, yada, yada. I think as you were talking, I was looking at Martha Linder's name and thinking, remembering the days back before coordinated entry when Plymouth would do referrals via email. And what we would ask for then, and what we still ask for in our non-CE buildings, places like Toft Terrace, we email partners and ask that they get referrals to us within 3 business days. So thinking about that and thinking about the Tuesday, Thursday option, there's still a realm where that could be real. So even if there's potential for delays, what I look at is if there's a potential for a delay in a match, how could that time be made up upon referral? What do we need to do to make sure we're ready? Because I do agree, again, I don't do outreach. Plymouth does not do outreach. I can't imagine the current system and trying to navigate that. It sounds exhausting. So, what can we do to give grace to people doing the outreach, to clients receiving the outreach? And then what do we do to prepare for if we lose time? And we'll lose time no matter what. But how do we make sure it's an appropriate referral? How do we make sure that the person wants it? And that we're able to support someone through it quickly. Because, there's, to me, the bigger fear, I'm much more afraid of losing an applicant when we're a month deep than I am of losing a day and getting a referral. And I think that's what we see sometimes now, where again, historically Plymouth used to process technically 1.5 people for every vacancy, but we'd have our own backups if we're going back before coordinated entry, and we'd float people. So if we lost somebody, we'd have another person already in process that we could plug into that vacancy and get them in quickly. But going 1-to-1, there's a lot of perks to that. It's great to be able to share the unit number up front. I think it gets more buy-in from clients, initially. But then it's scary for a landlord when you lose that person for whatever reason. They're ineligible, they don't finish their app, or they rescind. And in all honesty, I think just off the top of my head, if we saw in 2025, if we saw 8 people denied as ineligible, I would be shocked. The reason people don't make it in is they decline the offer, they say they're not interested, or they don't finish. Being ineligible is pretty rare. So I just, and that's really my thing. It's just like what, rock, paper, scissors for these options. I could see benefits and problems with either. I think both could be made to work, but the trick is what can we do on both ends, landlord and referring agency, to make sure we're ready and to make sure that we're doing everything we can to make it as transparent and easy for the client as possible. Because even the good news of a housing referral is a trauma because it dredges up the past. That's it.
Thanks.
Thanks, Elliot.
Go ahead, Tom.
Zsa
I'm
Zsa.
just gonna tell Elliot, thank you for that, coming from that perspective.
Yeah.
It's really informative. I never thought I was leaning with option 2, but as you talked about it, what's best for those who are doing the work on the ground, to help them help those to get into housing. And I was thinking to lose those days, like if something posts later past Thursday or whatever, then it sits until, but I was wondering, my question is, so if that comes up, then then the provider does not know that that's available until it's posted on that Tuesday, is that right? And so they would not have anyone for that um housing place? Tom?
Yeah, that's right. So if something
Thank
became
you, Karina.
available Thursday afternoon after we've already posted unit, then it
Uh-huh.
wouldn't be posted again for anyone to nominate to until Tuesday morning. So it just creates a little bit longer window. I think some of the things
What's the harm on the person to be housed, Karina? What, I mean,
I
does it make it, is it a longer wait time or?
no, not necessarily.
Okay.
the harm with option one and with having it happen that way is really is for housing providers, not having their units posted as frequently. So it'll
Okay,
take a little longer for them to get a referral.
And the fear on that, Jaja, is and by we, I mean, Eddie, Noah, myself, anybody who's in affordable housing, we are under incredible scrutiny around vacancy rates to the point where funding can be threatened.
oh, okay, so that comes to that continuum of care money stuff. Am
So
I
yeah, so
correct?
there's
Okay, I got
yeah,
you.
so there's a
Okay, I'm
sense of
following you.
urgency around getting units occupied as quickly. So it's kind of like the hurry slowly thing. It's yeah,
Okay.
we gotta fill this unit immediately, but we're also dealing with human beings.
Right, so
So
hurry up
how do
and
we do
wait.
this dance?
Yeah,
Okay, got you.
Elliot, to some of the things that you were saying, I think that option one or option two, we're addressing those issues of wanting to make sure that we're balancing everybody's needs.
Mhm.
And I think the hope would be that as we're making, a longer office hour, only one office hour, that it would be easier for housing providers to come to that space and be able to talk about their resource and make sure that folks have the information so that, like you said, the people that show up and are like, I actually don't want this resource at all, or I don't have the documents, or I don't, like hopefully that this larger nomination window will cut down on that, as well as the unified office hour will make it easier for folks to show up there and give that information to people. And that's what we're hoping to mitigate with those two things.
So do we have any more discussion on this?
Yeah, anyone, a voice we haven't heard from yet? Mustafa, Sherry, Martha, Devin. I know Devin, I know you're not feeling well, so I don't want to pressure you to talk if you don't need to, but
Yeah, thanks, Tom. I was just wondering if we could see option two again.
yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, well, if there's no other further comment or questions, Jaja, I'll pass it back to you and Catherine to help kind of ring us in here and call a vote.
Sorry, can you just go through the slides one
Oh.
time?
Yep. So ready? So here's option one. So Monday, this is blank, but really this would be kind of like thought of as like CE admin day. We have time to really go through, make sure that we know what units need to be posted, wrap up any loose ends, follow up on denials, pending referrals, verify vacant units, all that, prepare our lists. Tuesday morning would host office hours for everyone. They're gonna be an hour long. That's another thing that we didn't really get to. One kind of point that I maybe would have liked to center in on a little bit more is with the office hours, we just noticed that a lot of people have questions about coordinated entry in general, and you can answer those questions about how coordinated entry works. It's not super as important as like for family or single adult or young adult, it's like questions about the HMIS forms, questions about, different eligibility requirements and stuff like that. So an hour long and everyone can come, and then it's easier on our team for like coverage if people are sick. There's a couple of us that can facilitate that group and make sure that everyone's getting great information. The nomination window would close 24 hours later on Wednesday morning, would spend the rest of the day tie breaking and sending all those referrals, would have a case conferencing meeting that day. This one would be by subpopulation, so a separate meeting for single adults, family, youth and young adults, AIAN, etc. And would manage that through like a sign up sheet in our team space. Our team space is really well engaged with by the provider community. We got 1,300 people who access our team space to see about open units. And so if people have questions about a particular person, they can sign up and say, hey, we want to come and talk with you all about this particular case. If no one signs up, then we don't have to have the meeting. That kind of thing. Would then post units again on Thursday morning, host our unified office hour again, later at some point that day. AIAN KCRHA is a Alaskan Indian, or American Indian Alaskan Native. And then the nomination window would close on Friday morning, and then would take the rest of the day Friday, to tie break and send referrals. So that's option 1. 2, Monday morning, post all the units in the morning, host that office hour. The window would close 24 hours later on Tuesday morning. We have to tie break and do our admin work to make sure that we're ready to prepare another list for the afternoon. Post that list again in the afternoon and host office hours once again after that list is posted. Wednesday would host a case conferencing meeting, same. In all 3 of these options, the office hours and the case conferencing is still the same idea, unified office hour, 1 to 2 hours after we post, 1 case conferencing meeting a week, managed by a sign-up sheet and Teams. The window would close 24 hours later in the afternoon. Then we'd do our admin work, would post again in the Thursday morning, host an office hour, have that window close Friday morning, and then take the rest of the day for our kind of admin time. Option 3, post all the units on Monday morning. This nomination window would only be 12 hours long. Would host that office hour 1 to 2 hours after we post. The nomination window would close Monday night. We'd get up, start our day Tuesday morning, tie breaking, doing our admin work so that we could post again in the morning. Host another office hour. That window closes 24 hours later on Wednesday. We tie break, send referrals, and host our case conferencing meetings. Thursday, we post again in the morning, host our office hour, and then Friday that window closes and we take our admin time. So those are our 3 options. 2 and 3.
So do like option 3, because how long does it take to contact or notify the person after you do the tie breaking sending referrals? Like, how does that work after?
That happens instantly.
Oh, okay.
And when you're saying the person, is our team isn't reaching out directly to the household, we're reaching out to their case manager who
Right.
is representing them in case conferencing. So that happens, we tie break and immediately send a warm handoff email to that case manager, letting them know we have a referral for the household that you're working with. That happens right away.
Okay. So it does sound like it's faster for sure. I just see look like there's more work, and you said that they are like you all have enough folks that would be able to uh do this option 3 or 2, like posting the units and all the stuff that you all have to do. You know what I mean? Like you all, because I know before, I know it was taking a long time, I guess. But it sounds like you were saying that you all have the capacity to be able to do this, right?
Yeah, and just to be clear too, Sherry, when you were asking about how long does it take to notify, that would be the same thing for all 3 options. That's not just an option 3 thing. That would be would notify people immediately as soon as we tie break in option 1. We tie break and then we're sending that warm handoff email in all 3 of these. I
Right.
don't know if
No,
that impacts how you're thinking about it, but
no, I get that. Like, you would contact the case managers, and then they would, tell the, single folks or families. But I was just saying, because it sounds like, I guess my whole question is I don't know. I guess I'm thinking this sounds really great, and it's kind of like, why did it take so long before if you all are able to do it now?
why did what take so long before?
like it seemed like for the nominations, from what I've heard, I'm not that on that side of it, but what I've heard from housing specialists and case manager, that it took longer for, I guess, for they to come back. I mean, for the case managers to receive, um, whether they got the
I wonder if what you're referring to is like, so no, the way that we've been operating this with posting every single day and tie breaking every single day since 2023 is anyone who receives a unit through the tie break,
Mhm.
they're notified instantly. Like that we send that warm handoff email that day. I think what you might be thinking of is sometimes when people submit a nomination and then their client does not get the unit. We've gotten feedback that people would not, that wasn't always clear to people. Last year, the year before, that's why we implemented the like auto responses so that like if you get the unit, you're getting a warm handoff email from us. If your client didn't get the unit, then they get an automated response either telling them why, maybe it was some sort of like data error or like mismatch that was occurring there. And we looked at their nomination and it was like, we looked at your client's profile and based on what we see, we're not able to match them to this resource. Or, your client isn't getting this resource because someone else already got it. And so maybe what you're referring to is like sometimes people, and we've talked about it in this space over the last couple of years, and that's why we made that change to send those instant notifications. Smartsheet is not a perfect product. I think sometimes we still get the feedback that people don't always get those notifications. That's like a Smartsheet bug, just because we are managing. And when I say like, I'm talking like thousands of unique identifiers and entries into the system. And so sometimes we make smart sheets crash, honestly, like because of how much data we're trying to run through it. And so sometimes people don't get those auto responses all the time. And that's because our teams like clicked the thing to like send that notification to them, but the sheet doesn't necessarily just like save it and automatically make it happen. Yeah, Karina, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I do want to add, just for transparency, like on my end, sending out single adult referrals, they don't necessarily go out the same day that I posted it. And that is because I don't have enough admin time often, so I am often a day behind. So sometimes people might say, I nominated today, I didn't hear until the next day. Every single one of these options gives us more admin time to make sure that we're sending those referrals, that we have the time to tie break and send those referrals. So I think also hopefully that kind of answers your question a little bit too, that like with our current system, we don't have a lot of admin time with posting every day, hosting office hours every day, fielding questions every day. We don't have as much admin time to make sure that we are tie breaking and sending referrals as timely as we want to all the time.
Yeah, and then the irony, Sherry, the irony is you're like, well, slowing down actually is going to be speeding up for us. Like that's what I think Karina is saying is like slowing down the amount that we post is actually going to make it easier for her and her position to actually get that communication back to people as quickly as possible. Right now it's like we're running the treadmill on 10 and running at like an 8.5 to a 9.5 at best and like trying to keep up, and everyone's kind of losing because of it. Nicole.
Also, one of the things that increases our time in processing nominations is often we have to go through 10, 11, 12 different profiles to find an appropriate person, because the nominators haven't had the time to actually really, enter the data properly, ensure that the information that's in HMIS is pretty much authenticating that the choice that they've made is in line with that. So that there's a lot of time that we lose just sorting through nominations that are not appropriate. In addition to that, once that's handed off from us, the time it takes for the new provider to connect with the client and actually get them enrolled that's really where you're seeing your time. I mean, sometimes they can take 30, 45, 90 days to actually turn a referral into an actual enrollment. And so on our side, we're talking about 1 day, but we still have lots of work to do with providers to get folks intake process faster. But if they're getting the right people more often, we think we might be able to mitigate some of that time to reduce it.
Nicole, when you
Yeah,
say
thanks, Nicole.
providers, who do you mean providers?
So we have the individual, we have the navigator or the case manager that's nominated them, but then we have the receiving provider, the new provider that they've gotten the referral. The nominator has received the warm handoff, which connects them to the new provider. That time process is something that we're not necessarily have a lot of control over, how long it takes for the case manager to connect with the new provider to make sure the intake happens, in addition to finding their client. Often individuals that are staying in shelters are not able to really even contact their client until the following evening after they've received information that they actually got the referral. And so I think that's what makes it nice, this 24-hour period, is that now shelter staff can be involved and they can connect with clients. So we feel like this will actually kind of wrap around and help really, like I said, get the right folks to the right place. I think that little bit of time that we're allowing, the nominator as well as us to process, I think it's going to work on both sides to get better candidates for the units.
Sounds good.
I'm afraid we're gonna start losing people because we're getting close to time here, and I'd really love for us to be able to vote on something before we kind of lose quorum if we have folks that need to drop off. So I know, I think, Jaja and everyone else, these are incredible questions, and I love this conversation, but I do
You're at time.
wonder if it's good time to wrap that up and move toward a vote here.
Okay, and before we do that, we're gonna move towards the vote, but Tom, can you please put up like the benefit options and the concern options, because I think Devin put that, that he
Yes,
needs
this
to see
slide.
a
Sorry,
visual.
I'm just
No, that's fine, Devin. We need to accommodate
visual processing
visual
is
too.
working for me better with my virus. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Do you want to also see the concerns, Devin, or just is this fine?
This is helpful. This is what I was looking for.
Okay, so with that, I was wondering, can we get a motion for whatever someone feels like, which option? Because I would motion that we accept option 2. And, excuse me? So that's what I would motion, is that we would go with option 2. Just makes more sense to me. But I prefer someone who's like a provider out in the field doing this kind of work to make a motion, and then we can get a second and vote.
Okay.
I
I'll
second.
make a, did we already make a motion?
No,
Jaja.
go ahead, Fan. Can you just go ahead and make the motion?
Sure. I'm actually going to make a motion for option 1.
Okay.
I'll second.
And Martha has seconded for option 1. Do we have any discussion? With no discussion?
I'm
We'll go-
gonna be the bad guy who has to jump to another meeting. I think that
Go ahead.
in this moment today, I would support number 2, but I think number 1 should be our goal.
Well,
Okay. So what?
I don't know, Elliot. I know you got to hop. We're not going to be able to vote if Elliot leaves, because then we're going to lose
Oh.
quorum. We're hanging on by a thread
Right,
here with
so-
quorum.
I got 1 minute.
Okay,
Okay.
so I want to call for a vote.
Yep.
Okay, on option 1, it's been moved, motioned and seconded. Discussion has been had. All those in favor, are we doing a roll call vote or a voice vote?
Yeah, we got to do
We
it.
need to do a roll call.
Okay, roll call vote. Would you call the roll, please?
I will.
Catherine?
Devin,
So I'm voting nay on option 1. I'm voting for option 2.
and Martha,
Yes.
Elliot,
Yes, 2.
the motion is for option one.
Oh, I don't know what's happening.
So what
It's
we're
okay.
doing, Elliot, is the motion is for option one, has been moved and seconded. We're voting yay or nay.
Okay, nay.
Excuse me?
Thank
Nay.
Nay. Thank you.
Okay.
Kelsey,
Nay.
Jaja,
Nay.
Sherry,
Nay.
Finn,
Yes.
Mustafa,
Yes.
you have 3 yeses and 5 nays. Motion fails.
Does not pass. So is there another motion that we'd like to make before Elliot has to leave?
I'd
in
like to make a
30
motion for option 2.
Okay,
Can I get a second?
Yes,
Who seconds?
Elliot.
Elliot.
Elliot,
Okay. Any discussion? Moving to a
No.
vote.
Okay.
Catherine?
Devin, yay or nay on option 2?
Yay.
And Martha,
Yay.
Elliot,
Yay.
Kelsey,
Yay.
Jaja,
Yay.
Sherry,
Yay.
Finn,
Nay.
and Mustafa.
No.
You have 6 yeses and 2 nos. The second option passes.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Elliot, thank you so much. I know you gotta hop. You are now you are free to go. I release you. And for everyone else, thank you so much. And I want to say too, for those of you who voted nay on option 2 and were voting to endorse option 1, I think that something that our team is really open to and committed to is just continuous quality improvement. We have these provider engagement opportunities, like these feedback loops now with the single adults, the young adults, the family providers. We work with the veterans providers as well. And so we'll just continue to kind of like, we're gonna move to make some plans to implement this. And then we will also just continuously collect feedback. I can check in with you all for updates about how this is going, present updates, what the feedback is, and we're very open to kind of like iterating and shifting if need be in the future. So just want to let you all know that it's not just like a static thing that's rigid and only going to be doing this. We're open to iterating. So but I want to thank you all for your time and for your inputs today. Really proud of our team, very proud of the coordinated entry team for the great work and presenting to you all. And I'm really grateful to all of you for endorsing this. Okay. Adjourning and next steps. Our next meeting is going to be in March. I think it's March 26th.
Yeah.
Also the 26th of the month. Catherine will be reaching out to you all with a recap of today's meeting and the minutes. Yeah, and Jaja, I'll pass it to you.
So I motion, thank you all, and ditto what Tom said to the coordinated entry team. Yay! I love y'all. Thank you so much for your hard work and coming together and presenting to us. And I motion to adjourn. Can I get a second?
So moved.
Thank you, Kelsey. See you guys in March, if not before.
Yeah. Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care.